Said, who's ready for some great news on a Friday? On a Friday. All right, team, let's take a look at this here real quick. This morning's update. You know, we were looking at this yesterday, just going, man, there's a lot of headwinds. This doesn't look good. I was starting to get bearish, which means, and I actually thought about this after I did the video. I said, you know what, if I've started to get bearish, that actually is a sign to buy, because your natural instincts are always so wrong. You just have to look at the charts. Let's look at this. We're going to look at a couple things here that are looking super, super good. You're probably going to see a lot of videos today about how good Bitcoin looks and this move that was just made. And we all sort of felt this coming, but we know that manipulation is here, and diamond hand bulls like myself, like you, if you're watching this, if you don't have diamond hands, if you've ever sold Bitcoin, get out. Not welcome here. This is a diamond hands only crew. And this is why right here, because no matter how much they manipulated, Bitcoin will win in the end. True hodlers understand this. And frankly, don't need to look at the charts. Don't need to. Don't need to look at it. I don't get chart anxiety. Don't need to look at it every day. I do, but don't need to. When I miss it for a while, or have a day, or I'm sick or something like that, I don't look at it. No big deal. We know where this thing is headed. Bitcoins will be worth millions of dollars. Know that. Act as if you already know that for a fact. Pretend you're Marty McFly and you've come back from the future. You know Bitcoin is going to hit $1 million. What would you do? That is how we should act. All right, let's look at the chart. So we're going to zoom in real quick. First of all, this is the hourly. And remember yesterday what we were looking at, one thing that we were trying to correlate was this little movement right here. Remember the Saturday night blowout? That was the Triller night, fight night. UFC was on that night. All of a sudden at like 10 p.m. or whatever it was, this big blowout to the downside. And then that caused, further downward pressure on Bitcoin. Then we saw yesterday, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. It was yesterday. We had this guy right here stick out. And we said, well, hey, if this is the trend, we had a wick to the bottom, which caused lower movements, which is sort of the opposite of candlestick analysis. And then over here, we had this higher wick, which would lead you to believe that it's going to head lower, which it did. But if we were going to follow this pattern over here, remember what happened here. This wick on the bottom went higher, then made the move lower. Over here, we're kind of expecting the same thing. Okay, went lower, now making the move higher. So not that that's something that we can count on, but that's something that we're seeing here that seems to be apparent in this new market of Bitcoin. Now, what I did yesterday, and I almost made a video late last night, and I wish I would have now, of course, as that would have been correct. But remember, the most bullish pattern right now for Bitcoin, if you are looking for opportunities to buy, I don't recommend trading Bitcoin. Just buy it, and when you're looking at analysis, when you're looking at charts like this, when you see bullish setups, just buy some more. You don't need to like get out. Oh, it looks bearish to get out. Because look, like yesterday, if you had been me and I was trading, I probably would have sold some Bitcoin. What a terrible mistake. So instead of doing that, what we should do is just buy more when we see the bullish setups. When you see the bearish setups, just prepare yourself mentally for lower prices, which could be opportunities then to buy. Okay, so that's how we have to treat this. Now, when we look at this, the reverse head and shoulders, this has been by far the most just rock solid setup for Bitcoin on all levels. Okay, especially. And then, so this is when this was consolidating here is when I was, or it was kind of rounding off here. That was when I was really considering this. It was very late, but what happens here is if this shoulder, okay, if the newer shoulder is higher than the older shoulder, this is a really good sign that it's going to pop. And as you can see here, if I can draw this correctly, got diamond hands with fat fingers. That is the most bullish setup for Bitcoin right there. And so that was in place and was setting up, not to mention we busted through all the averages. Then we had this huge trend line. And remember, we were talking about this yesterday, this huge trend line, this downtrend, this downtrend was going to cause problems. All these moving averages, we were below all these moving averages. Like, gosh, we have so many headwinds here. But that can create explosion to the upside, is what you're seeing right now, is we're at almost 57,000 now, just skyrocketing, because you get a lot of people who are shorting in this area. And so if you can bust through that just a little bit, you hit all the stops and you run up and you make another move to a whole nother leg. Now, if you zoom out here, you can also see the same setup is happening on a more macro level. Okay, so look on a more macro level. Here's the first shoulder. Here's the head, double bottom, right? I got a double bottom head, which is also another bullish sign. And then you've got, here's the other shoulder. And it's, you know, almost a perfect head and shoulders. I mean, it's almost perfect. Not like you drew it, but really, really close. So that right there on a zoomed out perspective also looks really, really good. So we were looking at this late last night, almost made a video. I was like, you know what? I'm going to bed. But look what's happened. We've now busted outside of this downtrend, which is massive. We have a whole slew of technical things that are firing off, but also let's look at one more thing here. And this is the bee's knees. I think I may be able to better see this on the daily. This is really the big deal, team. Of all this stuff, you know, what I was really looking at yesterday and what I was really concerned about was 56,000. Okay, yesterday 56,000 was on my mind. 56,000, 56,000, 56,000. We've got to get to 56,000. We've got to get there soon because there were so many headwinds. And let's see. No, it's not. We're not going to be able to see it very well with this view. Let me go back to the hourly. A lot of people talk trash because I look at the hourly charts like that's too short of a time frame. Well, if you're trying to, what are you trying to look at? You know, I already believe that Bitcoin's going to the moon long term. So I don't, you know, weekly charts and all that stuff is great, but I'm looking for opportunities to buy more Bitcoin. That's the whole point. And fortunately, I loaded up in this last dip, sort of out of cash, which is a great position to be in. And okay, so let me scoot this over a little bit. So here's the reason why I was so fixed on 56,000. You look at the Fibonacci here, and I'm trying to get this exactly correct. 4970. Okay. If you look at the Fibonacci, the 50% retracement here was at basically 56,000, 55,998. So let's just call it 56,000. So 56,000, 50% retracement, which means even if, so remember when we had this little spike right there we were talking about earlier? That right there hit the 50% and then bounced off of it. That really looks like it's a setup for this to continue to go lower. Because if you have a 50% retracement and then the trend continues, that's a pretty strong continuation. And you can sort of count on that to be there and, you know, to have some legs and have some momentum. So breaking that was going to be really, really tough, especially after we already touched it and, you know, the trend held, the 50% retracement held. So all that stuff right there was just holding, and it was just like, damn it. We need 56 so bad. And look at now, we're at almost 57. So now we've busted through this. We're on top of all the moving averages on the hourly chart. We'll go back to the daily and look at the averages, moving averages in a second. So we're above the averages. We're above the trend line. Now we're also above the 50% retracement. Let's go, team. Come on, baby. Yes. This is what I was hoping for. Happy Friday, you Bitcoin freaks out there. This is freaking great. So couldn't be more excited about what is ahead here, because we know that there's a lot of pent up demand right now. How is Bitcoin going to get to 1 million? Bitcoin's not going to get to 1 million from retail investors. It's not going to be from your mom or dad or your buddy that you convinced to buy $5,000 for the Bitcoin. That's not going to get us there. What's going to get us there is Wall Street sales organ, municipalities, governments buying Bitcoin. You know, if the United States government had any sense at all, what they would do is they would try to buy all the Bitcoin, right? That's really the way that the only way to silence Bitcoin would be to buy it all. When Bitcoin first started trading, do you know you could have bought every single Bitcoin for 200 grand? So the longer time has gone on, the harder it is to monopolize it. And, you know, a lot of people could have bought all the Bitcoin for 200 grand and just shelved it. Just be like, done, right? And the longer they wait, the more of a problem that's going to be. But if If the government really wants to regulate Bitcoin, if the government really wants to put a fork in Bitcoin, the only way they're going to be able to do it is to buy it all. I see this as being a potential real scenario. I mean, think about it. If you could print as much fiat, doesn't have to be US dollars, but let's just say you could print fiat to any degree. It still has some value, which makes no sense, right? It's like monopoly money, but it actually still has real value. In other words, you can print this fiat and you can go buy Bitcoin, something that is real, or real estate or whatever. But we're just going to talk about Bitcoin. If you could do that, then you, which they can, then you could essentially just go buy all the Bitcoin. Who cares what it costs? Put $1 gazillion into it. Who cares? It's not like you're taking a loan out. You're just printing the money. Go buy Bitcoin, which actually would be a really smart thing to do. I don't think they're smart enough. I don't think, particularly in America, I don't think this administration is wise enough, hip enough, or it just doesn't have that on their radar of their objectives at all. Their objectives are way more policy, socially oriented, I guess is the way to put it. Economics doesn't seem to be at the forefront. But if it were, and they were savvy, and by the way, the previous administration, same thing. They wouldn't get this. You need a newer age, maybe the next president. If we get a young president or something like that, who, is, or a young administration of some sort that's a little bit hipper, that understands what we're really seeing in the new age. Not someone who's been in Washington for 50 years, literally been in Washington so long that he's on tape using the N-word in Congress. So, I mean, we're going to need a newer age group of people in our country, but potentially China could also do this. They're great at manipulating currency. They could come in and just buy all the Bitcoin. Now you say, well, wait a minute, we'd have to sell them our Bitcoin. Well, yeah, but if we hodl, they buy all the open market Bitcoins and run it up to millions of dollars per coin. What's going to happen? I mean, when do you sell Bitcoin? Is it somebody you have to sell, right? Otherwise, you're just going to give it to your kids or whatever, which is, my plan, but not everyone's going to be that way. Some people are saying, hey, this is still a retirement investment for me. I'm going to wait till Bitcoin gets to 1 million, then I'm going to sell my Bitcoins and retire by the beach somewhere. They would force those people to capitulate too. I mean, think about it. If you run it up to 1 million, 2 million, a lot of people are going to sell just because they've flat out made enough money that they don't have to worry about money anymore. It's not going to be a pride thing. It's not going to be a principle thing. As we cross 57,000 here live, $57,012 on Binance. I've noticed Binance tends to be lower. You guys notice that? Versus Coinbase and some of the other exchanges. It seems to have a lower Bitcoin price. There's got to be people out there who are writing algorithms to trade Bitcoin from exchange to exchange based on those rates. But yeah, so now it's just kind of free. It's got a free run right now. Bitcoin has a free run to 58K. And based on, this action right here, it looks like we're going to take that run all the way up to 58K. And frankly, it could even go higher than that. But 58K seems to be, right at, or really, really close to 58K is going to be the target right now, where we should expect to see it slow down a little bit. So let's take a look. Diamond Hands Derek here, obviously. You can follow me on Twitter at DiamondHandsD. And a couple things. So you're seeing a lot of this stuff. My whole Twitter account is just trying to be an accumulation of the best stuff that I'm seeing about Bitcoin, and not just stuff that is bullish, but data that I think is relevant and that is important for people to know. Willem Clemente III is great. He posts a lot of Glassnode stuff. So he sort of is a filter for all the Glassnode stuff. For the Glassnode stuff, there's just tons of data about Bitcoin. This is one of the things that makes Bitcoin, by the way, better than stocks, bonds, whatever, because there's such a transparency in what's going on in the overall network. That transparency in the stock market only exists for the brokers. Brokers, hedge funds, Wall Streeters, they have access to that data. They know how many retail investors there are long on this stock or whatever. They know all that data. We don't. In Bitcoin, we know that data. Everyone has access to that data. It's the ultimate transparency and freedom situation. Now, Wall Streeters will use that data against us. You've seen that recently. We've seen some of those things take place, but there's some really, really great stuff here. And now this is not that long ago that he posted this. accumulation addresses are up. That's always a great sign. Econometrics post some good Bitcoin stuff as well. They were just showing about, hey, here's how the drawdowns work. Here's a comparison. So I posted that in case you want to dive into that. It just shows you that, sometimes these drawdowns will last, a couple weeks or even a couple months. A consolidation could last a month, 2 months. This is the reason why we must hodl. This is the reason why you can't get emotional and hit the sell button on your Bitcoin. Now, the reason why I'm looking forward to the future with Bitcoin is because think about this. The future generations will adopt it much more quickly. It will make a lot more sense to them because they haven't been trained in the old fiat newspaper, paper money model. And so this guy, I don't watch the NFL, but this guy was the number 1 pick in the draft. And he already signed an endorsement deal with Blockfolio. So Blockfolio, and these different crypto firms are going to be smart about it. They're going to go after the younger generations. They're going to go after the influencers. They're going to get into the younger generation's minds. And you're going to start to see a whole new flock of people who understand crypto. Now, I don't talk about other cryptocurrencies because I don't freaking care about them. And no one really should, frankly. I do own, full disclosure, ADA, XRP, and Ethereum. And I do think it's fine if you want to own other stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. But Bitcoin is the apex asset. There's no question about it. It's the absolute best store of value that exists. This guy here is saying, hey, he's number 1 picked, and 100% of his signing bonus was paid in crypto. Now, I'm sure they did not offer that to him. I'm sure that he requested that. Think about that. Now, I have sent an email I work as a mortgage loan officer as a profession. I have sent emails to the president of my company saying, hey, I want to get paid in Bitcoin. And I think everyone should do that. And the reason why, there's 2 things that are important about this. The reason why it's good when companies say, hey, we accept Bitcoin isn't because we're planning on using Bitcoin as a currency. If you own Bitcoin, you should never pay for something with it unless you absolutely had to. As you see here, we're moving higher again. Oh, wow. Big moves. Big quick moves there. Looks like big market orders on Bitcoin jumping up to 57,200 very quickly there. It's just a straight line. There's no resistance between here and 58,000. I don't know who in the world, just think about this. Someone is selling their Bitcoin right now. Think about it. Right? People are selling Bitcoin right now. It just blows my mind that that's actually going on. So we'll keep an eye on that as we talk about this. Accepting Bitcoin is good because what it does is it causes those places who are accepting Bitcoin to have Bitcoin within their balance sheet too. And what they'll be able to see is as Bitcoin goes up, they'll start to see that, man, the longer we held on to that Bitcoin, in other words, the longer it took us to convert it to fiat, the more money we made. And then they'll start to say, well, maybe we should hold it longer. Maybe we should actually go and buy some. So getting it into their ecosystem, getting it into their company and onto their balance sheets, that's what's important. That's the key to it. And when you see people who are requesting to be paid in Bitcoin, that's also good because now those employers need to go out and buy cryptocurrency. And when are they going to buy it? Are they going to buy it right before they pay the person, or are they going to buy it a little bit in advance? Will they make money on those trades? Will they see how much money their players are making by requesting this? And then themselves, organizations, I mean, imagine, I don't know who picked this. I don't know what team he was picked for, so I don't pay attention to the NFL. But if that team says, okay, well, we paid this guy in this Bitcoin, which we purchased, and then we gave it to him, we paid him in it, and then, a year later it's doubled. What are we doing? Why don't we own this? Why didn't we buy, twice as much and keep half for ourselves? Those kinds of things will start to happen. So that's the reason why stuff like this is good. That's why I retweet stuff like this, just FYI. It's not just for, grandstanding. Here's something that's neat. Public companies with Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And this really is ultimately the reason why Wall Street is getting involved, the reason why Wall Street is going to come in guns blazing. I mean, I'm telling you now, when we finally get to that point where you're going to see the trigger getting pulled, you're going to see it's going to get pulled. Okay. And this is the reason why Wall Street doesn't like it. If there is a company or a CEO or a hedge fund manager who is just outperforming everybody, everyone else will gang up and be like, fuck that guy. Like, how are they making all this money? Michael Saylor is that guy right now. Elon Musk has been that guy for a long time. Right now, public companies with Bitcoin on their balance sheet, since the halving, so not that long ago, it's less than a year, they are up 1,000%. Now, in that same time frame, the NASDAQ crushed and is up 50%. The S&P also crushed and is up 43%, but that is a pittance. That is nothing. That is absolutely nothing in comparison to the companies who've owned Bitcoin and Bitcoin itself, up 500%. It's a 10x multiple for just Bitcoin and a 20x multiple for the companies who own Bitcoin. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing that companies who own Bitcoin getting a greater multiple than Bitcoin itself. Why? Because the companies who own Bitcoin, like MicroStrategy, like Tesla, first of all, they have clearly very smart CEOs, very smart and well-run organizations, because they're seeing what's coming here and they're getting ahead of it before other companies are. So that is bullish and helps with the momentum, but also because it blends the two worlds, right? The traditional world of having a company that's listed on the stock exchange, but also having exposure to crypto. There is a blending that happens there from the people who just buy stocks and invest in stocks who want Bitcoin, but they're like, I don't know how to buy Bitcoin. I don't know what a Bitcoin is. I don't know if I own a Bitcoin. How do I look at it? You know, they think, these people think that like a Bitcoin is like, and I have this little thing right here. Everyone should have one of these. They think it's like that. No, that's not what it is. So for them, so you can see a lot of money has gone in that direction. A lot of money has flowed to these companies that have the mix of both. They have Bitcoin exposure, but they also have the traditional setup. I can buy it in my IRA. I can buy it through my Scottrade or my Charles Schwab account. Okay. And so a lot of that money that's causing that delta is what's coming to the market now. And that's the reason why Wall Street is moving in. That's the reason why they're going to be moving in very, very quickly. They just need a little more clear guidance from the SEC. The day the SEC approves an ETF or gives clear guidance on how this is going to be regulated is going to be a day where the buy button gets pushed over and over and over, team. This is why you need to own. This is why you need to hodl. I do like when you see the stock to flow. So if you're not familiar with stock to flow, this is an analysis that has predicted the price of Bitcoin very, very accurately. And when you look at, like, this is the actual one. When you look at this, so it's really never been wrong on the low side. Here's the only time in 2019, which was a tremendous time to buy. Oh my gosh, that it got out of the main channel. Okay, so you see the analysis here, which is just based on supply and demand, and it's really, really, really intelligent statistical analysis. And you can follow at 100 trillion USD, which is Plan B. It's the model that he created. It's called stock to flow, or S2F. And you can see every time it's gotten below the main channel was a buying opportunity. And, you know, it stayed within the total channel all the times, except for a few times when it spiked, when things just got so crazy out of control. When it spiked outside of there, those are actually good times to sell and then buy when it got back into the main channel. But you know, most hodlers are not doing that because you can see where this is headed. Okay. And he's got this traced out to, you know, hitting $1 million per BTC by 2025, but in the middle of 2025. And so that's where a lot of people are sort of counting on and expecting to happen. And look, it's just coursing right into it. Right now, we pulled back right to the line, right to the main line, and you're seeing big buying. So is Wall Street using this analysis to pull the trigger as we head up to 57.3 now, 57.370? Big buyers coming in, huge moves. Going to go to 57.4. Do it for me. Yeah. Oh my goodness. 57.475. We're giddy up in here today. This is going to be a great Friday, team. So, you know, are they using this model? I don't know. Sure looks like it. But look at this actual price on the exact day yesterday. Okay, before the end of the day, actual price of Bitcoin averaged out over the exchanges 53,567, and the model price was 53,391. That is an unbelievably accurate for a model that was created years and years and years ago, that is now predicting the price of Bitcoin almost exactly. Is it a self-fulfilling prophecy? Possibly. But it is definitely working. So if this continues to work, there's no guarantee that it will, but if it does, you just got to hodl for, let's call it 4 years, team. 4 years. Hold your Bitcoin for 4 years. Become rich. Let's see. Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. Okay, let's see. There's something else I wanted to show you in here. Okay, this is probably the last one. So the U.S. borrowed, and Lisa, I'm not too familiar with, but I know that she's got a lot of followers and seems really smart. I checked her out before. I don't just retweet stuff. So the U.S. borrowed short-term money for free for the first time since March. Now, when you say for free, that means no interest. Doesn't mean you just get the money for free, right? You have to pay it back. You have to pay back the principal. 4-week rates on bills are now the most negative since the height of the pandemic, with the U.S. paying down short-term debt and investors looking to park record amounts of cash. So literally got negative 0.01. Okay, so down to 0.01. How wild, huh? Listen, the reality here is, at least in the United States, I don't know what's happening in other countries, but in the United States, we are spending more money than all the profit of all the businesses in the country every year. So we are literally on like a bankrupt path that I don't know how we save ourselves from. And the bottom line is that hyperinflation, which the Fed refuses to acknowledge, will 100% make Bitcoin, help Bitcoin, be a catalyst for Bitcoin to go higher, as you're seeing right now as we're trading 57,300. There was a couple big buys there, man. That was exciting. And we're probably gonna touch 58 here, or get really close to it if we don't. And if that happens, and we go up and we touch 58, we could see a pullback, down to, who knows, but when we could see a pullback, we'll have to rechart it and see. We could see a pullback down to, maybe 57, 56 in that area. It doesn't matter. Right now, breaking above 56, even if we pull back to 56, that'd be totally fine. If we pull back to 56, still very bullish now, because now that we've broken that, this Fibonacci is working for us versus against us. That was the key. That was the key. So great news on a Friday. Hey, check me out. Diamond Hands Derek, Diamond Hands D on Twitter. I'll get you updates hopefully every day. I'm gonna try to do one every day as I'm paying attention to this, hodling my Bitcoin and trying to help make sure that you hodl your Bitcoin too. Do not sell this to the suits. They are trying to buy your Bitcoin. They are coming for your Bitcoin. They do not deserve it. You deserve to be rich. All you have to do is hodl, and you will be in great shape. All right, happy Friday, team. Oh, hey, real quick here. Sorry, I forgot to look at questions. This is a good one. Is Ethereum a good buy now? I don't talk about other cryptos really, for the most part, but I will say I own Ethereum. I do think everyone should own some Ethereum. It would not surprise me if Ethereum, one day you look at your phone and Ethereum's at 40,000 or some crazy number. I mean, that could totally happen. So, have some exposure to some Ethereum. Obviously, Ethereum is up there. It is the second most widely talked about cryptocurrency. So that's one to own, and Ripple, I think, is probably the one that has the best chance to be used, worldwide by governments and so on and so forth. They seem to be, very much in that space and connected. So I think that's why I own that one. And then Cardano just has so many huge positive upside situations taking place that, I had to own some of that. So yeah, good question. Thanks for chiming in. And you can always do that on these lives. I'll try to get to as many as possible, but I got to run now. So guys, have a great, amazing Friday and a terrific weekend. I'll see you soon.